Welcome to Back in My Day, where I like to share my insights and perspective on personal development, self improvement for everyday life. Intro done. This week, I wanted to talk about control, the illusion of control. And I wanted to do that on my afternoon walk. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about an experiences that I've had, and correlate that to one of the most prominent things that are going on in my life, which is Valorant and Valorant games. Because I see in Discord, in the Woohoojin Discord, regularly people complaining about things, usually rightfully so. I complain about things. And this kind of goes back to growth mindset. This kind of goes back to setting proper success metrics. And I felt like it was correlative. So, control. Initially, the idea is that we focus on dealing with the things we can control. Part of that comes with recognizing the things that we can't. So I want to tell you a little story, 100% my perspective of the story, but also it's a real life situation that I will then come back and talk about how it correlates with Valorant. So, I had a job once, back in the day, where I was an older hire. I was in my 30s. And I was still developing my technical skill. I was still developing my business acumen in terms of that industry. And I had a younger manager who, by the way, I was given to after I'd already started working. So they didn't hire me, and put it into perspective, he did not want me. He was, I think, in his mid-20s, maybe even early mid-20s. And he had a little bit of an elitism about him. Again, this is all my perspective. Never told me these things to my face, but actions speak louder than words. And he was somebody who, his background was in math. His background was in things that are definitive. 2 plus 2 is 4. There are no if, ands, or buts about it. And I felt as though he saw me as a variable that did not get him to a solution he was looking for. So, over the time that I worked under him, I constantly was either given things that were impossible to succeed at, use succeed as a term, or I was having things taken away from me that I was already good at, or things that I built. I had an example is I built a big, massive file. Hey, puppers. Oh, so many. I built this file, and it was working. It worked perfectly fine. Could have been a lot more dynamic. It could have been a lot better for sure. But it was one of the first big files that I built in Excel for you youngins. And he took it away from me. He took it out of my scope of work because it was something that I was succeeding at. It started giving me things that I was not going to be able to succeed at. The reason that I bring that up and the reason that that matters is My perspective was he was making things as difficult for me as he could. To the point of when all this came to a head and I ended up putting in my 2 weeks in, they didn't bat an eye. They just said, okay, and smiled at me. So I may have been wrong about my perspective, but actions speak louder than words. I bring that up because when things were getting difficult, when things were getting to what I felt was impossible, I was angry, but I didn't get mad at him. I didn't retaliate, and I didn't shut down. I knew what job I wanted after this. I knew what job that I was looking to gain later on. And I sat down and I focused on the skills that I knew would allow me to get to the next position. Oh, additionally, through all of this, I was in the middle of basically asking for more responsibility so that I could get a promotion and a raise. We had just had little PC. So I'm in the middle of wanting to grow. I'm in the middle of wanting to have a better status in my company and take on more responsibilities. And I was not being given those opportunities. So again, instead of shutting down, getting frustrated, and giving up, I focused on skills that would allow me to be better in the long run. This will come back to Valorant. Long story short, medium story shorter. I put in my 2 weeks. 3 months later, I'm at a company getting double my salary in a position that is considered 2 pay grades above what I was doing before, and doing more work, more valuable work than I was doing historically. Because my goal was not on today, my goal was on the future. So let's back that up. I focused on the things I could control. I let the things I couldn't control slide off my back. And I navigated what my action items were around my long-term goal. You probably know where this is going, because when it comes to Valorant, there are 4 people on your team, 5 people on the other team. You cannot control. You cannot control matchmaking. You cannot control people DCing. You cannot control somebody deciding to grief you that game. You also cannot control your aim in this game. You have bad games, you have good games. Those are not things you can control. What I mean to say is then that the current game that you are in right now, you have very little control over. When you go to the next game, you have very little control. And instead of getting frustrated that you're not winning that game, your entire focus should be on what you can do now for the goal you're trying to get to in the future. I've said this 1,000 times in the Discord. I've said this, I know, on this channel. I've said this in my stream. Well, Hujin has said this. A lot of people say this. But the game you're currently in does not matter. The game you queue for right after that does not matter. If you are trying to be better, then the only game that matters is the game in the future that you have improved at. Gold JPC, I would shit on that guy. He's terrible. He's absolutely awful. When I'm good enough to be immortal, I would shit on Diamond JPC. I know I'm kind of flat right now, but... So what I do today, the outcomes that I have today, don't mean anything. That includes headshot percentage. That includes my gunfight mechanics. My gunfight mechanics have to get better. Morning. So at the end of the day, why am I worried about winning this game? Why am I worried about winning the round I'm currently in? Why am I worried about going positive in RR today? I suck today. You suck today. You can't control the outcomes of the game today. This is the reason when people hit Immortal and know that they can't get Radiant, stop trying hard. Because they realize they can't control their games and now basically just play to grief or have fun or whatever you want to call it. So if you're looking to improve, if you're looking to be better at anything, this isn't just Valorant, but I'll keep using Valorant. If you're looking to get better at something, focus on the things you can control. Everything else doesn't matter. But it's not what you can control today. It's what you can also control in the future. I'm not going to be able to control my teammates in Immortal. It's going to be the same thing. But I can focus on me. I can focus on my mental. I can focus on my approach to things. I can focus on my preparation. I can focus on my duo's preparation. I got picked up a duo so that I only can't control 3 people on my team. I'm still going to lose games because I can't control 3 people on my team. And to be fair, I can't control my duo. But we are of the same mindset that we want to climb and grind together. And we want to have the same prep. We want to have the same mental. And we're approaching everything similarly. We're also finding gaps. When I'm playing solo queue, I can do my pre-round prep no problem. Or my pre-round routine no problem. When we're playing together, we almost always forget to do our pre-round prep. Pre-round routine. For whatever reason, I can't remember to breathe and then go through the checklist because him and I are talking about things. We have to fix that. Our pre-round routine can change a little, but we have to find something that we can do every single time. That means we're getting better as a duo. That's something we can't control. We faced, both of our games last night had Smurfs in them. I'm not coping. Both of our games last night had Smurfs in them. And we immediately were just like, all right, how do we have fun here? These games don't matter. How do we have fun here? We lost 13-1 in the first game. And we were not mentally broken. Positivity, that's great. We can focus on our mental. We can focus on how we approach scenarios that are out of our control. And we're learning to do that. So if I go back to the work example and I correlate it to Valorant, every single game you have a boss that's a piece of shit. Every single game today you have a boss that's a piece of shit. And the only way that you're going to come out of this better is by focusing on the things that'll get you the next job. The next job isn't the next game. The next job isn't the game next week. The next job is the target you're trying to get to. For me, that's Immortal. Potentially Immortal 3. I have to focus on those skills today with the expectation that I'll get that job when it's time to be there. My boss today sucks. That's my example. My boss today is awesome. If you're listening to this, you're awesome. You're great. Your boss today in Valorant is terrible. They're taking everything away from you. They're giving you the hardest shit to do. You can't control that. All your coworkers are pieces of shit. You can't control that. What you can do is focus on the skills to get the job you want. That's what every game should be until you get the job you want. If you're one game away from that target, if I am one game away from Immortal, if I'm one game away from Immortal 3, I am still trying to focus on the skills that will get me there. I do not expect to win the game today. I expect to win 55% of my games when I'm there. And the better I am, the more games I'll win today. But if I'm not winning today, then I need to be better. I need to be able to win 55% of my games if I'm actually going to get there. It's a lofty goal, but still kind of true. So, we'll pseudo wrap this whole thing up. Think about what you can control. Think about what you can't control. And I am repeating myself. I know I am. But it's so important to recognize what you can control. And then only focus on those things. Any game you're playing that has teammates with a matchmaking system, you have shitty coworkers, man. You have a shitty boss. It is what it is. Find out what you need to do to get to the next level. That's my pseudo recap. I also wanted to talk about something else that eludes me right now, and it's frustrating because I'm not editing this. Although most of you have already stopped watching like 2 minutes in anyway. Man, I wish I'd have brought my notes with me, you know? Well, I can't control that. Well, think about it. I'll keep talking. If I'm able to do this every single game, and I can't today, even today I can't do this. I can't do this in life. But if I can do this every single game, you know that your goal is not this game. You will feel better even when you lose. You'll feel fine because you know that it's not about right now. Sometimes they say it's about the journey, not the destination. This is one of those scenarios where it is about the destination. And your journey has to get you there. I think that's it. I'm just going to repeat myself if I keep going. We'll see you next week. Thank you all for hanging out. I've hit my 2,000 steps. GG's. Good luck.